Assalamu alaikum everyone. I hope all of you are doing well. So in this video, I will be discussing about theatre of absurd. So let's start. Now what is theatre of absurd? So the theatre of absurd is a term coined by critic Martin Islin in his essay Theatre of the Absurd. The term is used for the work of number of playwrights mostly written in the 1950s and 1960s, which were written by a number of primarily European playwrights in the late 1950s. Their work simply expressed the thoughts of human existence that has no meaning or purpose. If a trouble comes, some logic is given on a matter, it simply makes the situation worse and further leads to silence. So this is a simple explanation of theatre of absurd. Now let's proceed towards the historical background of that theatre. So basically this movement influenced by existentialism. So absurd element first came into existence after the rise of Greek drama in the plays of Aristophanes in the form of wild humor and buffoonery of old comedy. Then morality plays of the Middle Ages can also be called precursors of the theatre of the absurd, dealing with common man's struggle with the allegorical and existential problems. In the 19th century, Ibsen also included some elements of absurd theatre in their play. Also in the dream novels of James Joyce, Franz Kafka, who created archetype by delving deep into their own consciousness and attempting to explore the universe. In the World War II finally brought the theatre of absurd to life because the chaotic atmosphere during that time was compelling them to think about their absurd existence. So that is basically the historical background. Now let's proceed towards some of the characteristics of theatre of absurd. So these characteristics of theatre of absurd is there, but it must be noted here that all these characteristics cannot necessarily be found in all absurdist plays, okay? Because it is not necessary that the playwright must have used all the characteristics of absurd plays. So the first characteristic is question of existence. So basically absurd plays raise some basic questions of existence like why we are alive, why we have to die, and why there is injustice and suffering. So that is the first characteristic of question of existence. The second one is distrust in language. For absurdist playwrights, language is only a meaningless communication and stereotyped exchange of ideas because words fail to express essence of human existence. So that is the second characteristic of absurd play. The third one is illogical speeches and meaningless plots. By illogical speeches and meaningless plots, they wish to establish a feeling of freedom to make their own words. So that is the third characteristic. Now let's proceed towards the fourth one, that re-establishment of man's communion with universe. They attempt to restore the importance of myth and rituals in the life of man and make them aware of the ultimate realities of their life. So that is the fourth characteristic of absurd play. Now if the fifth characteristic is that, if we move towards that fifth characteristic, that is emphasis on abstract values of life. So absurdists force us to look at our abstract values of life like love and family. Thus we may hope to accept the absurdity of life and try to find values in a world devoid of them. So that is the fifth characteristic. The sixth one is vagueness about time, place and character. Absurdists have no time, place and character in their plays as they feel that there is no past or future, only the repetition of the present. So that is the sixth characteristic. The seventh one is the lack of communication amid characters. Each character lives an egoistic life and attempts to get another character to understand him, and this results in more alienation. So these are the major 7 characteristics of absurd play. Now if we move towards some of the features of absurdist plot, there is absence, emptiness, nothingness, unresolved and mysteries. So these are the features of absurdist plot. So if we talk about the summary of that absurdist play, or if we talk about the summary of this video, I can say that the absurdist play is not a positive play, as it never tries to prove that man can still live in a futile world. It only demonstrates the absurdity and illogicality of the world in which we live, but does not provide any solution to the problem. By this play, there are many plays that basically talks about the absurdity, especially Waiting for Godot, Caretaker by Harold Pinter. So these basically talks about the absurdity of human existence, that meaninglessness of human existence. So that's all from my side. In this video we discuss about the theater of play, their characteristics and some features of absurdist plot. So if you have any queries, you can ask me in the comment section. Please like, subscribe and share my channel. Thank you for watching.